Wonder Woman. Okay, how do I stop? Yeah, so that was me last night. I was a very happy panda when I came home, as you could see. I'm really sorry that I'm not in the full regalia right now, but you know, if we're gonna do this, let's do this at least somewhat appropriately. So here we go. This movie pretty much delivered on everything that it promised, and the expectations were really, really high. I mean, the fact that it's been X amount of years since we had a live action Wonder Woman at all since Linda Carter, the fact that there was so much put upon Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins, this movie as a whole, and this movie meets all of that head on and then some. The look of this movie is fantastic. It's beautiful. The production design is gorgeous. The CGI in this movie is so good, and let's face it, it's a WB superhero movie. There is a fair amount of CGI in it, but it is so good that I had a real tough time actually distinguishing where real life, you know, live action shots actually ended and where the CGI actually began, even especially in the action scenes. So this movie does that trope where that a lot of other movies really do, where they kind of like slow down the action just in the middle of their action scenes. When a movie will do that, what will happen is either it becomes super obvious that it is a CGI scene taking place, or that these are actual stunt performers or the actors that are just being heavily assisted by wire work and not really great wire work. Yeah, that does not happen here. This has to be just an incredible mixture of incredibly talented stunt performers, wire work, and CGI. And it's just, it melds so perfectly that you don't really know when one or the other, or a combination of two or three, are actually taking place within the scene. Talking about good looking things, Chris Pine and Gal Gadot, when they were first announced to be casted in this movie, I was just sort of like, all right, let's see what happens. But you know, the initial news of the casting didn't like exactly bowl me over, especially in regards to Chris Pine, because I was just more of the cynical mindset of like, all right, I get it. If you need an all-American Midwestern type, you're gonna go ahead and call Chris Pine. But I realized that I'm just so inclined to just sort of write him off just as a sort of like screen idol, matinee idol kind of actor. And I don't really give him the proper due that he really deserves as a really talented actor, especially one with really great comedic timing. Because there are so many scenes, especially when this movie is about Princess Diana leaving the island for the first time for man's world, and kind of like her first outing out into man's world. And it very much is a fish out of water situation. And he having to deal with that with the right amount of exasperation and humor, and just sort of like trying to get through this situation as best as he can with this person that he, you know, is, you know, definitely has a great respect for and admiration for. It's just, I don't think there were very many actors that are out there that could have really pulled off being Steve Trevor the way that Chris Pine did. So yeah, kudos. Gal Gadot is pitch perfect. She's amazing. She's awesome. Being that fish out of water, it takes a certain amount of, I think, earnestness and sincerity, and also someone, but you know what, that characterization can get a little annoying, because it's just like, oh, look at silly old me just not knowing how the real world works, like, blah, and it's just like, oh my god, please just stop doing that. But she manages to pull it off because she understands that Diana is someone who is, I think, very confident within herself, and also knows who she is, you know, to her core. But she also has, you know, this insane amount of curiosity and this sense of adventure, and also a sense of honor and duty that actually sets her off on this mission of hers. And the way that she pulls it all together in a way that I feel like Diana is just a real, complete, complicated person, instead of just sort of this same old hero archetype that we always tend to see in these superhero films. I mean, big kudos to Gal Gadot. Granted, we haven't seen much of her acting chops, you know, up until now. So I definitely think that as a result of this movie, she's going to get a lot more opportunities to do more than just sort of, you know, these action films that she's just been sort of known for up until this point. Ultimately, I think a big part of this movie owes so much of its success to Patty Jenkins. Striking the right tone for this movie, knowing that it needed to be an epic that still rang like a personal story of a singular character, while never pulling focus from the supporting actors. And I think that's an incredible achievement, especially since this had such an incredible potential for just cheese, just straight out cheesiness. There were so many moments where I was just kind of amazed, like, oh, I'm not cringing. I'm not having to like, ooh, all right, well, that's just something that I'm gonna sidestep and forget so that way I can enjoy the rest of this ride. That never happens like ever, really. I mean, because there are so many moments from previous superhero origin movies where we're just like, oh, you're just gonna do that. All right, that's not great, but you went ahead and did it, but I'm gonna choose to ignore it because I'm gonna decide to love you. And here, I didn't have to decide to love this movie. I just could enjoy it and love it on its own merit. Have you ever had that situation where you've met someone for the first time and it's like the first face-to-face interaction and just everything immediately is just easy? And I don't mean necessarily in a romantic sense, but it's just easy. You talk easily, you don't have to like push so much the social interaction, and you don't have to like really dig for things that you just have in common. I mean, it's just there. You know, you like them, they like you, and it's just good. It's easy, it's simple, it's almost to the point of just like, oh, this is what it's like to naturally connect with someone. That's what this movie was like. Oh, that's what it's like to just naturally like something instead of having to rationalize it or jump over, you know, the hoops of suspending your disbelief or maybe just sidestepping, you know, the sort of errors or things here and there. I mean, it's just a really, really good movie. I mean, that 95% Rotten Tomato score, yeah, that's no joke. I honestly think that 95% of the population that steps into that theater is gonna come out saying, wow, I really, really like that. Yeah, so please let me know what you think. Like, comment below, subscribe, do whatever it is that you feel the need to do, and I will talk to you later. Okay, love you, bye. Wonder Woman.